So why do we have traffic laws? I mean, seriously, what's the point? We got to make sure that the police officers have a job and they got something to do, busy with their times. I mean, my God, the amount of time that police officers waste. I get mad at teachers for wasting everybody's time, but what do police officers do? They sit around on the public dime and they just go around bullying everybody, okay? And you don't think that oppression is going to sort of it creates resentment, and it's bullshit. We're supposed to be a free country. So that's the thing. We're supposed to be a free country. And my thing is, I don't want just anarchy where everybody's just a war against everybody, everybody's hurting each other. Not at all. In fact, if you hurt somebody, you do need to be punished. You need to be punished very much so. So I throw the book at you. If you run into somebody, you wreck into somebody, especially take someone's life, don't kill people. You know what I mean? Don't get in your car. It's like a bullet. When you're driving a car, it's like a 2,000-pound bullet. And when you drive real fast, you know, you could hurt somebody, you could kill somebody. So, and limited access highways, I think, you know, driving a little bit faster is okay. But when you're driving in residential areas, you need to pay attention. Not only do you just need to sort of, you know, obey all the traffic laws that are in place, but I think more importantly, that's what you got to do now. But more importantly, you have to watch out for other people, okay? So you have to watch out for other people so that way you're not hurting anybody. And my point is, if you don't hurt anybody, what's the crime? You know what I mean? There's no victim. If there's no victim, that's what the point of the law is there. The point of the law is to prevent one person from injuring another person. They'll sit there and say, oh, well, you might have hurt somebody. Well, I didn't hurt anybody, but you hurt me. So since you robbed me, you know, should I go around arresting police officers because I think they're going to hurt somebody? I think you're going to rob somebody. I think you're going to ticket somebody who didn't hurt anybody, and that's going to make them pay money, you know, to the general state fund. And I don't think that's right, and I think that's bullshit. And I'm gonna arrest you because that's something you might do. And actually, there's probably more of a chance that they'll do that than I will of crashing into somebody. There's more likely of a chance for a police officer to ticket somebody for, you know, not hurting anyone than there is for me, you know, wrecking. And so their prediction is, well, you know, you might wreck into somebody if you break the laws. Yeah, but I didn't. So you're the one that's being the asshole. So there's actually several cities in Europe that's doing this. And there's one city in America. You know, I tried to say something about Germany, and he automatically would just shut me up. That's what this Bryce Shoemath out of Ratliff. And Ratliff, he had said this, and he had basically tried to shut my point up because I don't know why, because he doesn't believe in, you know, equality or democracy or freedom of speech. He does agree, though, that I don't know, that he's allowed to speak and do as a, you know, fuck as he pleases. That's okay. But I felt like if he would actually heard what I had to say, then he might not have been, you know, so sort of pissed off at me. Because I do believe that there is room for, let's get rid of the traffic laws, okay? Get rid of them all. Keep the stop signs up. The stoplights cost money. There's electricity that's pumping through all these stoplights, and, you know, that costs money, so we'll have to decide about that. But keep the stop signs up, and there's suggestions. That's a good spot to stop. So, you know, you go up there, you stop, you look, make sure nobody's going, you keep on going. The point is, though, you don't have to. You don't have to. If you want to just go on by, that's you're risking a chance, okay, of somebody who might be, you know, going the opposite direction, and that's bullshit. No one's going to like that type of shit. So, and you're going to hurt somebody if you do that. The reason why we don't need traffic laws, and the reason why Makkinga, Netherlands, Drachten, Holland, Netherlands, Ejby, Denmark, Bohmte, Germany, Nieder-Erlenbach, Germany, Frankfort, Germany. So we got a Frankfurt here in Kentucky, but actually in the real Frankfurt in Germany, which comes from Frankfurter, right? So hot dog. In hot dog Germany, they're doing this thing called naked squares, where they're not only getting rid of all the traffic laws, but actually there's only two laws, and the one law is you always yield to the right, and if you block somebody, then you're going to get towed. So if you block anybody from moving, they're going to tow you, and if there's, you know, someone's coming your way and someone's coming the other way, then you go off to the side, the right side, or the left side, depending on which city you're in. So there's lots of cities in Europe that's doing this. There's a city in Washington State that's doing this, Langley, in Langley in Washington State. So, you know, he wanted to shut me up and be like, oh, well, this is America, because I point out Germany and in Haiti that was like this. And I thought it was better. I thought it was more free. Because instead of, you know, having to be worried about like, oh, the police officer see if I turn my blinker on, did he see if I stopped at the stop sign 100%, you know, did I do everything by the book? Instead, it was more about the people. You know, don't run over that person, don't run over that person, don't put people's lives in danger, and don't do that. And it was wonderful. It was great. People, you know, if there was a slow-moving bus that was going up the hill, people would be passing each other on the curve. And sometimes somebody would be coming the opposite way, and they would have to either hurry up and get in, or they would just completely stop and sort of back in and go right back in. You know, right back behind the slow-moving vehicle. There was also motorcycles. In fact, the motorcyclists, the motos, they were one of the most, you know, like useful machines on the street. People could go in between traffic whenever there was big traffic jams. They could go in and out of traffic, you know, in between, over here, over there, over here, and it was, you know, it was wonderful. People was able to do and move where there was places to, you know, do and move. So I think we do need to kind of go back to that. Montana has an unlimited speed limit. You know, when you regulate people, and that's another thing. You know, all these Republicans are against regulation, but really, regulation somewhat works. You know, it somewhat works. There's a lot of accidents and things do happen, but the reason why these naked streets are being proposed is in order to lower traffic accidents, and it's actually working. So yeah, okay. There's also there's an article sort of separate, but they're ripping up the freeways in cities because instead of having just through traffic flying through, they're sort of being able to build up their own culture and their own businesses. So the utopia is already becoming a reality in Makkinga in the Dutch province of Western Frisia, signed by the entrance to the small town population of 1,000 reads Verkiesborgia, something free of traffic signs. So in Makkinga, right? In Makkinga in the Dutch province. I don't know, did I read all these again? I'm going to read all these again because Ipswich, England, Kensington, UK, Portishead, England, Langley, Washington, Ostende, Belgium, Frankfort, Germany, Nieder-Erlenbach, Germany, Bohmte, Germany, Ejby, Denmark, Drachten, Holland, Netherlands, and Makkinga, Netherlands. There's also like 100 shared spaces in the Netherlands. So the Netherlands is, you know, just really taking this to a whole nother level. They're also the first place to legalize marijuana, which Colorado and Washington's already done. Washington and Langley is already experimenting with what they're doing. I think we need, in the great pool of ideas, we need to go with the best ideas and not just go with the politics of the thing. So the utopia is already becoming a reality in Makkinga in the Dutch province of Western Frisia. Right, I already mentioned that. There aren't even lines painted on the streets. Because of its success, other urban areas in Europe have implemented the idea. Germany, Ostende, Belgium, Ipswich, England. United States, a small town of Langley, Washington has worked to use these methods. The plan is called share space. They're naked squares, share space. They exist in towns in England and Holland as well. The idea is that everybody on the road, including pedestrians and cyclists, have equal rights. Bicyclists, pedestrians, motorists, all of us have equal rights. No sidewalks. Local police say that without rules, people actually think for themselves. And they communicate more and they assume the responsibility of power in a huge pile of metal. Through locals, though locals say it took a bit to get used to the freedom and responsibility, it's increased safety and a villagey atmosphere. You know, we have to look at each other instead of just kind of zipping through. The many rules strip us of the most important thing, the ability to be considerate. We're losing our capacity for socially responsible behavior, says Dutch traffic guru Hans Monderman, one of the project's co-founders. The greater the number of prescriptions, the more people's sense of personal responsibility dwindles. Monderman could be on to something. Germany has 648 valid traffic symbols. The inner cities are crowded with the colorful thicket of metal signs. Don't park over here. Watch out for passing deer over there. Make sure you don't skid. The forest of signs is growing ever denser. Some 20 million traffic signs have already been set up all over the country. Psychologists have long revealed the senselessness of such exaggerated regulation. About 70% of traffic signs are ignored by drivers. What's more, the glut of prohibition is tantamount to treating the driver like a child and almost foments resentment. He may stop in front of a crosswalk, but that only makes him feel justified in preventing pedestrians from crossing the street every other occasion. Every traffic light baits him with the promise of making it over the crossing while the light is still yellow. The result is that drivers find themselves enclosed by a core set of prescriptions so that they develop a kind of tunnel vision. They're constantly in search of their own advantage, and their good manners go out the window. The new traffic models advocates believe that the only way out of this vicious circle is to give drivers more liberty and encourage them to take responsibility for themselves. The new models proponents envision today's drivers and pedestrians blending into a colorful and peaceful traffic stream. It may sound like chaos, but it's the only lesson drawn from one of the insights of traffic psychology. Drivers will force the accelerator down ruthlessly only in situations where everything has been fully regulated. Where the situation is unclear, they're forced to drive more carefully and cautious. Indeed, unsafe is safe is the motto of a conference where proponents of the new roadside philosophy met in Frankfort in mid-October. But one German borough is already daring to take the step into lawlessness. The town of Bohmte in Lower Saxony, Germany, has 13,500 inhabitants. It's traversed by a country road and a main road. Cars approach speedily. Delivery trucks stop to unload their cargo, and pedestrians scurry by on an elevated sidewalks. The road will be refurbished in early 2007 using European Union funds. The sidewalks are going to go, and the asphalt too. Everything will be covered in cobblestones. Klaus Gojohan, the mayor, explains. We're getting rid of the division between cars and pedestrians. The plans derive inspiration and motivation from a large-scale experiment in the town of Drachten in the Netherlands, which has 45,000 inhabitants. Their cars have already been driving over red natural stone for years. Cyclists dutifully raise their arm when they want to make a turn, and drivers communicate by hand signs, nods, and waving. More than half of our signs have already been scrapped, says traffic planner Coop Kirkstra. Only 2 out of our original 18 traffic light crossings are left, and we've converted them to roundabouts. Now, traffic is regulated by only 2 rules in Drachten. Yield to the right and get in someone's way, and you'll be towed. Strange as it may seem, the number of accidents has declined dramatically. Experts from Argentina and the United States have visited Drachten. Even London has expressed an interest in this new example of automobile anarchy, and the model is being tested in the British capital's Kensington neighborhood. Portishead is a coastal town in England about 120 miles west of London. The town of 22,000 people experimented with turning its traffic lights off on a major road in September 2009. Despite the traffic chaos, the streets still seem safe. The removal of the lights in Portishead, a city that has grown quickly in the last decade, was part of a 4-week study to solve long-standing congestion at the junction, which was so debilitating and disruptive it sparked street protests and political campaigns from frustrated residents. But the intersections became permanent after travel times per vehicle fell with no loss of pedestrian safety despite increases in the number of people using the road, more than 2,000 vehicles and 300 pedestrians per hour. An article in the local Bristol newspaper explaining the effort stated drivers will now be expected to use a combination of common sense and courtesy to negotiate the junction of the town's high street, Whitton Way, and the cab stand. The method is much in contrast to one British publication's description of the car driver's relationships with traffic signals. The thinking is based on the way drivers habitually race through lights before they turn red and who are lulled into a false sense of security by the confidence that they have the right-of-way, making them less aware of potential hazards. For the trial period, roads were monitored using cameras to see the impact of no traffic signals on congestion. A 20-mile-per-hour speed limit was instituted over that same period. In the video and in comments on articles about the initiative, residents said that there have been big improvements. Drivers pay more attention to the road and nearby pedestrians as opposed to traffic lights. Plus, there are the savings, as each traffic lights cost about £30,000 to £50,000 to maintain. These lightless traffic junctures are known as naked streets. Trial projects that challenge the importance of traffic lights have occurred in other areas of England and Europe. The first traffic signal, according to this video report, was erected in London in 1868. The Portishead experiment is not alone in its redesign. Transport for London, TfL, worked to remove lights in central downtown with hopes of getting rid of as many as 20% of existing traffic lights with support from Mayor Boris Johnson. Recently, the city aimed to eliminate 145 lights that it deemed useless. Okay, so let's see, 1 minute. The original example is Drachten, a town in Holland, the Netherlands, of 50,000 people. Its home is exactly 0 traffic lights. Even the areas of the town with a traffic volume of 22,000 cars per day, traffic lights have been replaced by roundabouts. The town saw accidents at one intersection fall from 36 over a 4-year period to just 2 in the last 2 years since the lights were removed in 2006. So they're only having 2 accidents. The counterintuitive finding is that streets without traffic signals mean that cars drive more slowly and carefully because the rules of the road are ambiguous. There's no green, yellow, or red lights to tell drivers precisely what to do. A Wired article from 2004, Hans Monderman, the late architect, explains this approach of affecting driver behavior. A wide road with a lot of signs is a telling story. It's saying, go ahead, don't worry, go as fast as you want. There's no need to pay attention to your surroundings, and that's a dangerous message. A new hierarchy emerges when vulnerable road users at the top, pedestrians in the shared space scenario, and when there are no lights to dictate behavior, are seen as fellow road users rather than obstacles in the way of the next light. Why do we have traffic laws? Get rid of them!